So I started asking these patients, what are these voices? What are they telling you? The first pattern that came out were they consistently negative. And I'm like, okay, hallucinations are all over the place. They're scattered. They're positive. They're negative. They're neutral. They're all over the place. There's just no pattern to them at all. There was a pattern to these voices. They were consistently negative. The second question I had is what kept them on that negative path? I mean, why weren't they random like all other hallucinations? What kept them there? What confined them to that? So that was the first thing that didn't make any sense. So I started asking patients about them. What are they telling you? What are they like? How do they behave? And then I started getting this. The first pattern I saw was that they were negative. Second pattern where they were anti-religious. Third one was that they foster negative emotion, and the fourth was that they drain the energy out of these patients. So in the process of asking them these questions at the state hospital, one of them, the voices didn't like me asking those questions, so he went to one of the psychiatrists and he said, hey, this psych is asking us questions, and I don't like it. He's asking me questions about the voices, and he's upsetting me. The next thing you know, next morning I got called up into the psychiatrist's office, and I was told the voices are hallucinations. Don't be asking these patients questions about them, because you're reinforcing those hallucinations and you're making them worse. And he ordered me to stop or else.
Wow.
So I'm like, I knew he was full of bunk to start with. You know, it's like already I saw these patterns emerging. So they couldn't be hallucinations. If they're running patterns, they couldn't be. But you can't say anything to these psychiatrists, especially the ones out there. They were just arrogant as all get out. And they ran the mental health section there. They were over it. So you couldn't challenge them without getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I had to really put it in first gear from then. You know, I had to kind of fly under the radar. I had to lower the number of questions I asked. I had to monitor these patients to make sure they didn't get upset. And I really had to go down the first gear. I really had to slow down. But the second pattern I saw was that these voices were consistently anti-religious. They didn't like people being on any kind of a positive spiritual path. They hated the 23rd Psalm. I remember when one guy who was hearing voices came in my office. He said, hey, I played the 23rd Psalm and the voices reacted like worms thrown on a hot frying pan. So I'm like, and so I started asking other patients, what happens when you go to church? What happens when you read the Bible? What happens when you pray? So talking about scores of patients, and the responses were always the same. The voices got louder. So they broke up into three categories. If the voices were weak and they went into a church, the voices would shut up. If they were moderate strength, what would happen is that they would get louder. They'd start mocking the preacher. They'd start saying stupid stuff and making fun of him. They'd say Jesus couldn't even save himself.